Two-time Paralympic gold medalist team Nigerian captain Folashade Oluwafemiayo is targeting yet another historic run at the next games coming up in the United States of America, Los Angeles to be specific. It didn't look like a very particular good para games for Team Nigeria. But the captain is saying that better days ahead in terms of looking at the next games. You agree with Oluwafemiayo?
Yeah, I think I will agree with her. When you take especially her performance, as she won a gold medal at the Tokyo Olympic game and now at the Paris Olympic game, back-to-back gold medal for Oluwafemiayo. And for me, I think if you take a look at what she did, you want to concur with her with this statement that come the next Olympic game, which is in 2028, that the para athletes, of course, will do better. So for me, I think they were not given that adequate preparation because
you are saying she wasn't. She is of the opinion that in fact she is really applauding the federal government for what she calls adequate preparation. But you think the team didn't take part in, didn't have a good preparation ahead of the games that took place in Paris?
Yes, I think so. Because even the sport minister attests to that. Because I think that was a day before today, the sports minister actually came up to say that the reason why the able-bodied athlete and the para-athlete didn't do well is because he didn't have enough time. That he just came in 1 year in office.
No, it's not about him. These games, the games are once in every 4 years. Yeah. And continuity, former sports ministers had been doing something before he came on board. So I really totally do not agree with him. Well, it could have been short. Maybe they could have done it in a better way from his own estimation. But then the games are come and gone. We need to look forward, and let's hope that he will be able to put in place, logistics and of course modus operandi that will lead to a better outing for the Paralympians. And talking about them, so far, I think he seems to be in good state. For the first time, we're having the Paralympians been rewarded with about $15,000 for gold, 10,000 for silver, and 5,000 for the bronze medal. But in this instance, there is no complaint about them being owed. Yeah. We understand that there's confirmation that the money is due. The athletes have been all paid, including their camp allowances.
Yes, and for me, I think it's a good gesture from the sport ministry, rewarding the para-athletes, in such a massive manner. In the past, we do not see this level of reward, for para-athletes. We've always seen the able-bodied athletes being rewarded, handsomely. But this time, I think the para-athletes, they've gotten what they've been clamoring for so many years now. And kudos must be given to John Waneno for, doing it.
They were even paid before they left Paris.
Yes. That for me is a good gesture, and for John Waneno, I think he knows what it takes, to at least handle situations like this. Because if you take a look at it, in the past, the para-athlete, they've done well, for the country, racking up 87 medals. If you add the one in Paris, which they put up about seven medals, with the one they won previously, 87 medals in total. While the able-bodied athletes so far since they started competing in the Olympic game have been able to rack up just 27. So I think actually saw what has been on ground so far and decided to reward them massively. And this will go a long way in giving them that motivation and also helping them, of course, to keep their mind and body intact ahead of the next Olympic game. For me, from this, I think they will definitely go out there to make sure they see how to prepare very well for the next encounter, just like the captain of the team has said.
Well, Los Angeles 2028 is here. It is just about 4 years from now. Preparation has to get started, and sports minister have to show the way. Away from Paralympic report, let's go to basketball now. And Nigeria's Junior Tigers will face off against Uganda in the semi-final of the 2024 FIBA Afro Basketball Championship later today. In just about a few hours from now at the University of Pretoria in South Africa, Nigeria will be in action. A couple of days ago, it was Egypt that was defeated by the D Tigers. Can they take out their Ugandan counterparts in the quarterfinal, in the semi-final? We've never been to the semi-final in the last 14 years, and we should take it up from there.
Yes, I think for me, we should take it up from there, taking a look at what we've done, so far in this competition. You understand, it has not been easy for the Junior D Tigers, before getting down to South Africa. I understand, of course, they had visa issue. They had visa delay. That could, of course, destabilize them mentally, ahead of the competition. But they still stood their ground to see how they can get a better performance as well. Getting down to the quarterfinal, even before the game against Egypt, we hear that 9 of the players, were contracted flu and were not really that, strong. But we saw these players, bouncing back and being able, of course, to outclass Egypt in that encounter. Uganda is one side that have been so fantastic as well in the tournament, and I think it's going to take a whole lot, from the girls to be able to bring down the Ugandan side, in this particular encounter. But from the performance we've seen so far, I think we should be hopeful that they can get, something from this particular encounter.
Nigeria versus Uganda, 3 p.m. Nigerian time, and I would hope we'll follow that for you and report it at 6 p.m. on our program Sports Extraordinary. 8 of, let's see, Nigeria now haven't gotten to this stage. Kingsley, do you think they can go all the way? Yes, it's like I said, it's taking us 14 years to get to the semi-final. Can we take it a notch higher?
I think the players know what is at stake. It's been a long time as well. We even got to the quarterfinal. I think this time we're able to see the male and the female junior team getting down to the quarterfinal of the Under-18 Afro Basketball Championship. And now heading down to the semi-final. This is a very huge opportunity for some of these players. You know how basketball, of course, has been in the country. We've not really taken basketball seriously for some time now. And these players, of course, they know that this is an opportunity for them to gain global recognition. They also understand that it's an opportunity for them, of course, to stamp their foot, when it has to do with basketball in the country and as well in Africa. So for me, I think those are the things that could possibly motivate them, to go all the way in taking down the Ugandans. The Ugandans, they've been very fantastic, like I said. But I think from what we've seen from the Junior D Tigers, I think they have what it takes to be able to compete in a very, very fashionable way against Uganda today.
The Diamond League is here this weekend in Brussels, Belgium. The Diamond League will hit up, and do we have an African making a headline in this one? Tebogo, can he, become yet the first African to win the Olympic 200 meters event? You remember him last time at the Olympic Games in Paris. He became the first African. But can he make the difference at the Diamond League coming up in Brussels this weekend?
I think he has what it takes. When you take a look at his performance, right from the Olympic Games, you want to give it up to the man for, being that very fantastic. What we hope to see from Tebogo this time around, after that very impressive performance at the Olympic Games, winning the 200 meters, the only man in Africa that has won the 200 meters, won a gold medal in the 200 meters event at the Olympics. And
the entire history of the Olympics.
Yeah, beating the Americans, which we know, of course, that is where they dominate, most. For me, I think it's a very good one for the man. What we want to see from him now is consistency. And now the Diamond League is here. We hope to see him, of course, replicate that performance this time around, of course, in the Diamond League. And that's what, of course, will make him remain in the limelight. And, of course, his name will be on the lips of everyone. So we hope to see the very best from Tebogo going forward.
Tebogo, the man from Côte d'Ivoire, right? Botswana, sorry. Looking at the Diamond League coming up, he says in his own word, he's energized to even do more than the 19.46 seconds he did at the Paris Olympic Games. That is an African record. We hope he can improve on it. We wish him the very best. The man from Botswana, despite the death of the mother in May, and of course the other events, he's braced it up and hopes he can get better in the 200 meters event. Let's look forward to an excellent performance coming from Tebogo. Let's go to tennis now. In tennis, Rafael Nadal is back into the news, this time around pulling out of the Laver Cup due in Berlin. Kingsley, Rafael Nadal looks like pulling out of most tournaments. His fitness level suspect.
Of course, I think it's becoming very clear that this could possibly be his last season, in tennis. But the man has said he's going to call it a quit, this season. And from this one, I think there's no health issue, no injury, nothing. The man just said that he doesn't think he can, be able to compete in a very, very impressive fashion.
He pulled out of the U.S. Open, the last Grand Slam of the year.
Yeah. And the last time we saw him perform was at the Olympic Games, and since then he has not performed in any tournament. So I think Rafael Nadal is gradually winding down. He just wants to take his time and see what he can be able to do, play 1 or 2 tournaments before he call it a quit. So you could see that the man does not just, the motivation is not just there anymore. He doesn't have that, passion. It's not really passion, but that zeal, of competing anymore. He knows that, eventually if he comes, he might not hit it hard. The game has actually gone past him at this point, especially when you take a look at his health, his age. The energy is not really there, anymore, and that's why he's opting out from some of this tournament just to give himself a very good rest. There was no reason for this one. He said that he doesn't feel he will perform in a very, impressive fashion. That's why he's backing up out of this one. So if you take a look at it, it is getting to the end of Rafael Nadal in tennis.
Rafael Nadal needs to reconsider his continuous stay in tennis. He's achieved well, very much, and is known over the world as one of the top tennis legends around, but it looks like his body is not carrying him to participate in most tournaments. Rafael Nadal ranked way out of the first top players in the world now. Kingsley, you think that could be part of the reasons why he's pulling out as well?
Yes, of course. Not really part of the reason, but talking about his ranking now, I think for him, it's not something that should bother him because, of course, injury has not been his best of friend for some seasons now. And talking about it, he has not performed in some of the tournaments. And when you don't perform, your ranking, of course, will decrease. So I think for me, the injury has really done him a very huge damage at this point in time. And that's why the man, of course, at this age, he's saying that trying to opt out from some tournaments and just to put himself in shape. Maybe I will possibly see him in 1 or 2 tournaments before he call it a quit, from what I was saying. The man has done a whole lot for himself. One man who has put up a very impressive performance, especially, on the clay courts. One man who is well known. And of course, being able to have someone who actually looked up to him at this point in time, in the person of Carlos Alcaraz, he has actually put up a very good legacy. So for me, for Rafael Nadal, he's done a lot. And the tennis world, of course, will definitely miss him whenever, of course, he call it a quit in tennis.
Will you be surprised if I tell you that Rafael Nadal is ranked number 305 in the world? Former world number 1.
Well, that's what it is. When you don't play tournaments, when you don't actually compete, when you're not active, your ranking, of course, will definitely go down, and that's what, of course, has happened to talking about Rafael Nadal. The same thing we're also seeing for one lady, a very young lady you see, talked about Emma Raducanu. She also has gone down when it has to do with the ranking. So for me, I'm not really surprised because he has not been competing for some time now. So you definitely expect that his ranking would definitely increase. And for me, that's why I said we shouldn't expect to see more from Rafael Nadal again. His body is not that very much in shape, and I don't think the man has what it takes to compete. The ATP is very competitive at this point in time. When you have the likes of Yannick Sinner still dominating, you have the likes of Carlos Alcaraz, of course, still pulling up weight, and even Novak Djokovic, who is not looking like he wants to relent anytime soon. So it's going to be a very tough one for Rafael Nadal to get into that mix once again, due to the fact that his body is no longer the way it was.
Well, Rafael Nadal, one man who has won as many as 92 career titles in tennis, former world number 1, now ranked number 305. That looks very difficult. If you ask how could he have been ranked 305, he has just 175 points. That's really, really low. And I think he has to improve, at least improve on his ranking before retiring anytime this year. Time for us to take a break. We'll return back, and I can tell you we are well ranked here on Atlantic Television Network. When we continue from the break, you will know why we are well ranked in other sports. Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and we told you the National Youth Games are on the way in the city of Asaba, Delta State, and we understand about 3 states are not participating in this one: Rivers, Ebonyi, and Borno State. But medals are beginning to rake in, and Benue State athlete Scholastica is raking as many as 3 on day 1 of the National Youth Games. Paralympians, they are back from Paris and at the Olympic Games, and they are not just back, they are back fully compensated for the effort during the Games as well. Now, let's look at some other stories, Bill, for you this hour. And we'll go to football first. Kingsley, Ibom Angels are back to top-level female football here in Nigeria, and their coach, Edwin Okon, is very impressed with their performance that led to their return to top-level football.
Yes, for me, I think it's a good one that Igbo Angels are back, in the Nigerian Women Football League. They've been away for some time. I think this was due to poor management, for the team and poor result they turned out, in their last outing in the Nigerian Women Football League. But it's a good one that we now have someone, did not have someone who is very much experienced, talking about the person of Edwin Okon, one man who has been with the Super Falcons of Nigeria, and you understand what it takes, of course, to play in the Nigerian Women Football League. And that's why, of course, we saw them putting up that impressive performance to get themselves back, to the Nigerian Women Football League. We hope that with Edwin Okon as well, still at the helm of affairs in the team, they will be able to, of course, challenge the big teams this time, the likes of Rivers Angels, Edo Queens, you talk about Bayelsa Queens, Niger Rectors are also coming up. We hope to see Ibom Angels, of course, putting up a very, very impressive, performance against this top team. So we look forward to see what they'll be coming up with. They've been away for a very long time, and their fans, of course, truly miss them. I think it's another opportunity from Ibom Angels, to prove themselves once again in the Nigerian Women Football League.
Ibom Angels are welcome back to top level of football here in Nigeria, and they have a very experienced coach in Edwin Okon, one man who knows how to win the league title as well. He's been a former national coach for female football here in Nigeria. Let's look at the league is into week 2 here in Nigeria this weekend, Kingsley, and teams are preparing aftermath of the first game that was played.